The 40 toxic chemicals banned overseas that are in your home right now. The smoke alarm chirped once, then fell silent. On the stove, a non-stick pan hissed, eggs slid like they were on ice. In the nursery, the white noise machine hummed against a freshly washed blanket that still smelled clean. In the bathroom, a lotion promised gentle. None of those labels warned that in other countries, dozens of the chemicals inside are banned or tightly restricted. Yet they're here in your air, your fabrics, your food contact, your skin. This isn't one bad bottle. It's a house-wide drip. We're going room by room to name them, trace the loopholes, and show the exits. How we got here. The loophole playbook. To understand why your living room smells like fresh linen and a lab report at the same time, we need to go back to a quiet rule that shaped the shelves. If harm isn't proven at typical doses, products move forward. That prove harm first mindset turned your home into the test site. Meanwhile, Europe kept asking a different question. If credible signals appear, endocrine disruption, persistence, bioaccumulation, shouldn't we limit exposure while we learn more? Philosophical on paper, practical when it's your kid's pillowcase and your pan on high heat. Here's the largest hiding place in your house: fragrance. One word on a detergent, candle, or trash bag can legally stand in for dozens of chemicals, solvents, fixatives, phthalates, because the recipe is a trade secret. You're not told which allergens are inside or which musks will linger in dust. In places with stricter rules, common allergens must be listed by name. Here, your rash becomes a guessing game and your bedroom becomes a diffuser. Unknown to most shoppers, contaminants don't need to be listed at all. If a chemical isn't added on purpose, it can exist in your home silently. Ethoxylated surfactants in dish soap and bubble bath can carry 1,4-dioxane unless manufacturers remove it, no label trail. Aerosol propellants can introduce benzene when supply chains slip. Nitrosamines can form if certain amines meet the wrong impurity. Your ingredient list is a declaration of intent, not a complete inventory of what touches your skin or floats in your air. Oversight splits by product type in ways that make no sense to a family. An antiperspirant is an over-the-counter drug with an active monograph. A candle is a consumer good with different rules. A disinfecting wipe is a pesticide if it claims to kill microbes. A pan is cookware, while the stain-resistant spray on your sofa is a treatment that can carry PFAS into dust. You experience all of it as home. The law sees 4 agencies and a stack of carve-outs. Marketing fills the gaps with soothing words that aren't standards. Natural, hypoallergenic, dermatologist-tested, reef-friendly. None of those phrases guarantees the absence of phthalates in fragrance, isothiazolinons in a gentle soap, or fluorinated slip agents in a long-wear foundation. Even BPA-free can simply mean BPS present, a cousin with similar endocrine concerns. The substitution shuffle keeps the claim while swapping the molecule. Retailer policies have quietly become your most effective regulators. When a national chain bans PFAS in store-brand cosmetics, you feel it as missing labels and new formulas. When a state caps 1,4-dioxane in cleaners and shampoos, you feel it as fewer ghost contaminants in your drain and downstream your water bills. Procurement decisions in schools, fragrance-free cleaners, peroxide over quats, change what kids inhale before lunch. But there's a trap. The cheapest preservation for a high-water product might be a formaldehyde donor or MIMCI. The softest field detergent might spray your laundry with musks that cling for days. The glossiest lipstick might rely on a fluorinated additive. Companies will keep the feel, the smell, the promise, unless pushed by rules or receipts. Reformulating is work. Ambiguity is cheap. Here, S what nobody explained. Your exposure stacks. A plug-in scent, a fragrance trash bag, a fresh detergent, a dryer sheet, and a candle on 5 decisions. They're one indoor air. A non-stick pan on high heat, a grease-resistant takeout box, and a stain-guarded sofa on 3 conveniences. They're one PFAS map. A clean spray with quats, a Kills 99.9% wipe, and a BAC hand soap on 3 hygienic choices. They're one lungs and hands routine. Meanwhile, science keeps catching up. Biomonitoring shows population-level markers of phthalates, PFAS, bisphenols, and certain UV filters. When markets shift, phasing out a phthalate in fragrances or a PFAS in makeup, human levels move too. That's the lever that proves this isn't fatalism. Lowering what's in products lowers what's in people. Workers feel the draft first. Custodians wiping hundreds of desks with quat-heavy products. Cashiers handling thermal receipts warmed by printers, then grabbing snacks. Stylists breathing heat-released fumes. Preschool teachers laundering nap mats in scented detergent, setting up 8-hour eyelid contact for kids. When products change at work, peroxide over quats, email receipts, donor-free back bar, fragrance-free laundry, the nurse log shrinks. Those fixes are proof points for home. One more blind spot. Packaging is part of the formula you never see. Oil stored in soft plastic in a hot garage, pick up what the plastic lets go. A balm in a jar you dip wet fingers into needs a harsher preservative than the same balm in an airless pump. A can lining can leach more into acidic tomatoes than into beans. The container is chemistry. So how did this become normal? A legal framework that rewards doubt over precaution, a fragrance trade secret that hides both allergens and endocrine active add-ons, contaminant loopholes that keep labels clean while products aren't, and a marketing vocabulary that looks like safety but is. The exits are real, though. We'll go room by room, follow the people who felt it first, and show the swaps that cut exposure without turning your life into a scavenger hunt. First stop, the kitchen, where non-stick is just your pan. It's your packaging and your sofa, too. Segment 1. Formaldehyde donors, DMDM hydantoin, quaternium 15. The kitchen smells like toast, but the first hot zone is the bathroom cabinet. Water-heavy formulas don't stay safe on charm alone. Many brands lean on preservatives that don't add formaldehyde. They make it inside the bottle over time. Different names, same move. DMDM hydantoin, quaternium 15, imidazolidinylurea, diazolidinylurea, bronopol. You won't see formaldehyde on the label. You'll see the donors if you know where to look. Stakes first, this is skin, air, and heat. Formaldehyde is a known skin sensitizer and a carcinogen at higher, especially occupational, exposures. You don't need a factory to feel it. Thin skin, eyelids, hairline, neck folds reacts fast when the dose repeats daily. Heat speeds release, and bathrooms are steam rooms. Salons add blow dryers and flat irons. A child's bath, a parent's nightly cream, and a stylist's Tuesday live on the same exposure ladder. Action in a house like yours. A parent keeps a gentle body wash by the tub. After a week of baths, their toddler wakes scratching at the nape. Lotions swap in and out, nothing changes. The pediatrician asks a dull question, show me the labels. Near the end, DMDM hydantoin. They switch to a fragrance-free wash preserved with sodium benzoate and gluconolactone in a pump. 2 nights later, the itching eases. The fix wasn't fancy. It was removing a drip. Across the hall, a college student with mystery eyelid eczema rotates eye creams for months. The pattern doesn't break because the trigger sits in the shower. Shampoo with DMDM hydantoin, conditioner with imidazolidinylurea. Rinse water runs over eyelids every morning. She trades both for donor-free formulas and keeps the lather behind the ears. The flare finally slows. The cream wasn't the culprit. The rinse was. Workers felt it first. In a small salon, a stylist's wrists burned most on blowout days, not washing days. Gloves didn't fix the air under the dryer hood. She asked her rep for donor-free lines, switched the back bar, and set a fan behind stations. Within a month, the steroid cream stayed in the drawer. Here's the substitution trap. When consumers fled parabens, many formulas didn't rebuild preservation from scratch. They plugged in isothiazolinons or formaldehyde donors. Dermatology clinics saw a spike in contact dermatitis. The clean label fixed a headline and filled waiting rooms. Every preservative has trade-offs. The question is where you place the cost, on the shelf, in the air, or on a kid's cheeks. Policy lines matter. In the EU, free formaldehyde is capped in cosmetics, and products releasing more than a threshold must carry a contains formaldehyde warning. Several donors are tightly restricted. Brands phase them out to avoid labels and patch test referrals. In the US, unless formaldehyde is intentionally added, no warning is required for donors. An allergic person can read every front-of-box promise and still lose the guess. Label tells to memorize. Bottom lines, DMDM hydantoin, quaternium 15, imidazolidinylurea, diazolidinylurea, bronopol, 2-brom, 2-nitropropane, 1,3-diol, sodium hydroxymethylglycinate, methenamine derivatives. If you see formalin, that's direct formaldehyde, rare in retail haircare, notorious in certain keratin treatments. Packaging shifts the math. Airless pumps and tubes reduce finger dipping and water intrusion, so milder systems work. Jars invite stronger preservation. Cooler storage slows degradation. Heat accelerates release. Steam turns small emissions into a room problem. Practical swaps that hold up. Choose fragrance-free core products, lotion, face cream, body wash, because fragrance stacks allergy risk on top of preservation. Favor systems like sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate at low pH, dihydroacetic acid, gluconolactone with sodium benzoate, caprylyl glycol, levulinic and anisic acid blends. In shampoos, modern glucoside or isethionate bases pair well and still lather. For kids, short baths, simple formulas and pumps beat cartoon bottles and jars. Technique beats label theater. Keep products capped and away from heat and light. Rinse hair away from the face. If something stings or itches, stop. That's damage, not proof it's working. Patch test new leave-ons on inner forearm for 3 days before moving to the face. In showers, ventilation matters as much as the bottle. 2 micro-stories landed. A caregiver rewashes blankets in fragrance-free detergent and retires a gentle lotion with diazolidinylurea. The baby naps without rubbing at their eyes. A groomer swaps a donor-preserved pet shampoo for a benzo-preserved one and dries longer on cool, hot spots calm. Pets live closer to floors and fabrics. Residue is their world. Manufacturing can fix this. Upstream controls, choosing donor-free preservation, validating microbial challenge tests, investing in packaging, cost pennies per unit compared to clinic visits and recalls. Retailer specs move suppliers faster than press releases. If a brand can tell you its preservative system and why it fits the formula, that's a mark in its favor. Reality check. Donors solved a real problem. Water grows life. But the cost lands on thin skin, small rooms, and hot tools. You don't need perfection. You need fewer daily drips. Start with leave-ons, kid stuff, and anything that meets heat. When the bottle stops releasing a ghost, your bathroom stops smelling like more than soap and steam. Segment 2. Phthalates, often hidden in fragrance. The bathroom fog clears and the house smells like nothing again until laundry day. That long-lasting fresh on towels is rarely just perfume. Phthalates often sit inside the word fragrance to make scent cling to skin and fabric. The label gives you a single noun. Your home gets a week-long echo. Stakes first. This is hormone choreography, tiny signals that guide development, fertility, and metabolism. Certain phthalates, like DEP used in fragrance as a fixative, show up in human biomonitoring and have been associated with altered hormone markers in studies. The risk isn't one spritz, it's stacking exposures across detergents, lotions, air fresheners, trash bags, vinyl flooring, and hot car interiors. A house becomes a background cloud you stop noticing, but your body still tracks. Action at the washer. A family upgrades to a mountain air detergent. Towels hold scent through 3 showers. That tenacity hints at fixatives in the fragrance blend. The same cart adds scented trash bags and a foyer plug-in. Individually small, together they set a baseline. By Wednesday, the asthmatic kid coughs more after folding laundry. The baby rubs eyes after naps. They swap enzyme-free detergent, think it helped, then the cough returns on sheet change day. The fixative, not the enzyme, was the steady drum. Meanwhile, across town, a rideshare driver clips a vent freshener and parks in the sun. Heat saturates the cabin. The opener becomes a punch of new. He spends 6 hours breathing it at nose level. By week's end, he's counting headaches by shift, not by weather. A micro story in a nursery lands it. Unscented, wipes still spark a rash. A masking fragrance hides under the word unscented. They switch to truly fragrance-free wipes and detergent, rewash crib sheets and crack the window. 2 nights later, cheeks calm. The cream didn't heal it. Fabric contact changed. Workers feel this early. A preschool teacher runs a diffuser in the reading corner, wipes tables with fragrance spray, and launders nap mats in fresh burst. Headaches arrive by 2 p.m. The director drops the diffuser, orders fragrance-free laundry service, and replaces the spray with soap and a peroxide cleaner. Kids still nap. Nurse visits fall. Here's the map you can use. In the U.S., fragrance, parfum, or aroma can conceal dozens of chemicals, including phthalates used as carriers or fixatives. The EU forces disclosure of specific fragrance allergens by name. That helps people avoid precise triggers. We don't get that list on most US labels, and DEP won't appear if it's part of fragrance. Fragrance-free is your clearest signal. Unscented often means a masking scent that still adds to the load. Some brands publish fragrance palettes or certify phthalate-free fragrance. That's useful, especially for laundry and leave-ons. Household hotspots most people miss. Laundry, detergents, softeners, and dryer sheets bake scent into fabric. Heat drives it into the room. Air care, plug-ins, wax melts, and aerosols build a constant baseline, especially in small bathrooms and entryways. Trash and diapers. fragrance liners perfume kitchens and nurseries. Personal care, lotions and hair products labeled clean can still hide phthalate-containing fragrance. This was the moment everything changed for a couple in fertility treatment. Their clinic packet included one dull line, minimize fragrance. They didn't debate studies, they emptied a basket. Fragrance-free detergent, no dryer sheets, fragrance-free lotion and body wash, plug-ins out. After 2 weeks, their bedroom smelled like nothing. That was the point. Technique outruns marketing. Rewash linens and towels in fragrance-free detergent, skip softeners and dryer sheets. Ventilate during washing and drying. Fans and an open window move air out faster than candles cover it. If you want scent, choose a single product you love from a brand that discloses allergens and states phthalate-free fragrance. Use it for an event, then stop. Scent should be a moment, not a room tone. Micro-stories seal the habit. A violinist drops scented hand cream before rehearsals. Burning fissures stop. A runner's chest tightness eases after ditching dryer sheets. A landlord removes lobby plug-ins. Tenant complaints dip. None required a miracle product, just removing a persistent background. Kids and pets live closest to fabrics and floors. Keep nurseries fragrance-free. Detergent, wipes, lotion. Wash pet beds with fragrance-free soap. Skip scented pet shampoos and colognes. Cats sleep in laundry piles. Dogs breathe at carpet level. Their world is residue. Label shortcuts in 10 seconds. Fragrance-free beats unscented. Email customer service. Is your fragrance phthalate-free? Do you disclose EU allergens? If they can't answer, that's an answer. Retailer, no phthalates in fragrance. Policies for house brands help. Your receipt enforces them. Reality check. Not every fragrance blend contains phthalates, and not all phthalate exposure comes from scent. Vinyl and older plastics matter too, but the easiest lever in a home is smell. One laundry swap changes every pillowcase and shirt. One decision on plug-ins clears a hallway. Give it 2 weeks. Your nose resets, so do the headaches. Segment 3. Sodium lauryl sulfate with 14-dioxane contamination. The air is clearer without the scent fog. Now look at the sink. Those thick, silky bubbles in dish soap and body wash often come from ethoxylated surfactants, chemistry that softens harsh cleaners into something that feels luxurious. The hitchhiker you won't see on a label is 1,4-dioxane, a manufacturing byproduct tied to cancer in animal studies and flagged by agencies as a likely human carcinogen. It isn't added on purpose. It rides along unless suppliers strip it out. Takes first. This is the daily drip. Hands in the sink, kids in the bath, shampoo across scalps, laundry in a steamy room. Rinse off lowers contact time, but repetition makes its own math. What leaves your drain doesn't vanish either. Wastewater plants aren't built to catch 1,4-dioxane well, and communities downstream pay for what upstream chemistry leaked. One bottle seems small. A neighborhood's worth is policy. Action in a quiet kitchen. A parent loves the clean rinsing dish liquid that leaves glasses squeak dry. The label shows sodium lauryl sulfate. That Eth is your clue. Ethoxylation smoothed a harsher surfactant into something silkier. Unless the supplier invested in cleanup, tiny amounts of 1,4-dioxane can tag along. Nobody lists it because it isn't intentional. The family notices nothing. Until their state caps 1,4-dioxane in consumer products, the brand reformulates, and the same bottle starts bragging about purity refined. Across town, a lab screens children's bubble baths and finds measurable 1,4-dioxane. Retailers send terse memos, lower residues or lose shelf space. Factories adjust catalysts, lower temperatures, and crucially, vacuum strip the finished surfactant. The same product across a border still meets looser limits. 2 homes, identical labels, different exposures. That's the patchwork your sink lives in. Micro story from a bath routine. A kid with eczema worships foam mountains. Her parent swaps a Loreth heavy wash for a formula built on glucosides, cocoa glucoside, dicyl glucoside, with no pegs or eth names on the panel. The bubbles are smaller, the itch eases. Gentler surfactants plus fewer contaminants mean less irritation for thin skin in warm water. Workers feel the residue math differently. A hotel housekeeper cycles through dozens of showers, refilling caddies from bulk back bar. Repeated wet work plus ethoxylated bases turn hands raw. She pushes for MI-free, fragrance-free, low-residue formulas and gloves at every sink. It's boring procurement. A steroid tube lasts the winter. Labeled decoding you can do fast. Scan for eth words, sodium lauryl sulfate, cedireth, oleth plus peg, polyethylene glycol, xynol, oxynol. They aren't automatic fails, but they're your cue to check if the brand states dioxane control, vacuum stripping, supplier specs, third-party limits. If they don't say, choose a line that does or pivot to non-ethoxylated system. Laundry is its own microclimate. A runner's cough spikes on wash days in a small, steamy room. He switches from a PG-heavy detergent to a simpler formula built on alkyl polyglucosides and citrates, fragrance-free. He cracks a window and stops overdosing soap. 2 weeks later, the chest tightness quiets. Less residue in fabric means less chemistry in the dryer plume. Manufacturing can do this. When states cap 1,4-dioxane, suppliers tighten processes and prove it with batch tests. Upstream prevention costs pennies a bottle compared to millions for groundwater treatment. When pressure eases, shortcuts drift back. Your receipts hold the line. Environmental ripple is the quiet bill. Utilities add advanced oxidation to treat 1,4-dioxane in wells. Ratepayers cover the upgrades. Preventing contamination at the factory beats chasing it in aquifers. Practical swaps that survive real life. For dish soap and hand wash, try non-ethoxylated bases, glucosides, isthionates, sarcosonates, fragrance-free as your default. In shampoos, choose brands that state dioxane reduced or avoid eth surfactants. Modern isthionate bars and glucoside liquids lather without the hitchhiker. For laundry, avoid pegs and eth names, skip scent boosters, and measure detergent. More isn't cleaner. Technique matters. Cooler water when it works, fans or a cracked window around washers and showers, and a habit of not chasing foam as proof. Residue on fabric equals more on skin and in your indoor air. Retailers are already doing pre-work. House brand specs that cap 1,4-dioxane force suppliers to document controls and testing. Once one big buyer demands that cleanup, the same base goes everywhere. It's cheaper to standardize than juggle formulas. Reality check, dose and contact time matter, and rinsing cuts both, but houses run on repetition. If a state line can force reformulation, a shopping cart can too. Ask brands how they control 1,4-dioxane in ethoxylated ingredients. If they have an answer, they'll share it. If they don't, your sink can get just as clean without the ghost. Segment 4. Triclosan and triclocarbon. We're still at the sink, but now the label says antibacterial. For years, that word sold calm. Triclosan and triclocarbon slipped into hand soaps, body washes, cutting boards, even treated fabrics, promising extra protection where plain soap already did the work. The add-ons left baggage your drain couldn't shrug off. Stakes first. This is hormone signaling, resistance, and the river outside your zip code. Lab and epidemiologic signals tied triclosan and triclocarbon to thyroid and developmental concerns. In wastewater, they persist, concentrate in sediments, and move through aquatic life. At home, frequent antibacterial washing isn't better at preventing illness than a 20-second scrub with regular soap. Worse, repeated antimicrobial exposure can help select tougher microbes on surfaces and skin. Action in a hallway bathroom. Cold season hits, a parent grabs an antibacterial pump and a matching body wash. The routine feels responsible. Pump, scrub, rinse. Nothing dramatic happens at home. Downstream, those actives reach a plant not designed to erase them. Sludge carries residues to soils. Sediments hold the rest. The bottle gave reassurance. The watershed kept the tab. Meanwhile, a dental routine tells a quieter story. A nurse working nights buys toothpaste touting gingivitis control. Some legacy formulas use triclosan. She brushes, spits, and reaches for hospital sanitizer at work. 70% alcohol, no theater. Her safest move all along was technique. Brush, floss, and wash hands with plain soap. The extra actives at home didn't upgrade her day. They rode the drain. Here's the moment the paper shifted. In 2016, the FDA banned triclosan, triclocarbon, and several other actives from consumer antibacterial hand and body washes because companies couldn't prove they were safer or more effective than plain soap and water. Shelves changed. Loopholes stayed. The rule didn't touch every category. Certain toothpastes, some treated materials, and niche uses slipped under different umbrellas. The EU took a tougher stance on triclosan in biocidal products, tightening approvals. Direction, away from routine household use. Micro-story in a school office. The secretary refills foam dispensers labeled antibacterial. By spring, her hands are cracked despite lotion. Facilities switches to fragrance-free plain soap, posts a hand-washing graphic, and adds a fragrance-free sanitizer for hall duty. Within 2 weeks, her knuckles stop splitting. The change wasn't exotic, just better product fit and fewer extras. Unknown to them, across town, a home cook buys a cutting board advertised as antibacterial. The coating promises safety while basic hygiene, hot water, dish soap, air dry already works. When the board scuffs, the claim fades, the habit stays. Soap and water removes microbes. Disinfectants are for high-risk messes. Raw poultry spills, vomit, blood. Tuesday crumbs don't require a biocide. Workers felt the mismatch first. Custodians fogged rooms with antimicrobial branded sprays in tight spaces and developed coughs and rashes. After a switch to hydrogen peroxide cleaners for daily use and targeted disinfectants for true biohazards with contact time and ventilation, symptoms dropped. The lesson was boring and sharp. Clean first, disinfect when a situation earns it, and move air. Labeled translation you can do in seconds. For hand and body washes, skip antibacterial. Plain soap works. If the active line lists triclosan or triclocarbon, put it back. For toothpaste, read the tiny active ingredients box. Most mainstream pastes no longer use triclosan, but check. For surfaces, daily cleaning with soap and water plus microfiber removes the biology. When you need disinfection, bathrooms, illness, raw meat spills, choose hydrogen peroxide or alcohol-based products. Respect contact time and ventilate. Rinse food contact surfaces after heavy disinfection. Microstories make it stick. A coach bans aerosol antibacterial sprays in the locker room, brings in pump soaps and peroxide cleaner, and opens exterior doors for 10 minutes after practice. Coughs quiet. A cafe swaps antibacterial cutting boards for plain high-density boards and a 2-sink wash-rinse routine. Health inspection passes and the kitchen stops smelling like a bottle. Technique beats theater. Wet hands, lather palms, backs between fingers, nails, and thumbs, count to 20, rinse, dry. That's the move. On counters, remove crumbs and grease first, then disinfect only when it matters. Let the surface stay wet the full label time and move air out. Never fog a small room. It coats lungs and leaves residue without improving outcome. Environmental ripple you don't see. These actives bind to sediments and sludge. Once they're there, pulling them back out is expensive and slow. Leaving unnecessary antimicrobials on the shelf is the cheapest fix. Practical swaps that hold. Replace antibacterial hand and body washes with fragrance-free soap. Keep an alcohol-based sanitizer for on the go. Skip antimicrobial-coated gadgets. Wash tools, rinse, and air dry. For high-risk moments, use a disinfectant with a clear active and contact time and give it air. Reality check. Antimicrobials belong in clinical and outbreak settings, not as background chemistry in your bathroom. Plain soap and time do the job. Your hands get clean. Your air stays quiet. Your drain carries less you didn't need. Segment 5. Coal tar dyes and phenylphenadiamine, PPD. We're still in the bathroom, shifting from soaps to color. The kind that stains towels, saturates hair, and sticks around long after the selfie. Coal tar-derived dye chemistry and phenylphenadiamine, PPD, power permanent hair color, deep blacks in brow and lash tints, and rich shades in some textiles and cosmetics. They bind hard, last long, and can turn skin into an alarm you can't quiet with moisturizer. Takes first. This is sensitization with a long memory. Once your immune system tags PPD, tiny exposures, residue on a pillowcase, a brow tint at a pop-up, even a temporary black henna tattoo spiked with PPD can trigger swelling, blisters, and ER visits. Add the real-world layer. Fumes in small bathrooms, scalp contact under heat, rinse water over eyelids and ears, and fabrics that rub necklines when you sweat. Colorists face it daily. Bowls, brushes, vapors, plus wet gloves that don't stop everything. One dramatic reaction makes headlines, but most stories are smaller and relentless. Action at a mirror. A student dyes her hair black with a weekend box kit. The tingle feels normal. By morning, her eyelids balloon and her scalp weeps. The urgent care doctor points to the fine print, phenylphenadiamine. She hadn't done the 48-hour patch test. Weeks later, a boardwalk black henna, tattoo scars in the exact design. The ink looked temporary. The sensitization was. Meanwhile, a colorist's hands fisher each winter. Double gloving and thicker creams don't fix the web spaces. Patch testing lights up for PPD and a common cousin, toluene 2,5-diamine PTD. She rebuilds her station. Nitrile gloves changed often. Barrier cream under gloves, mixing at arm's length. Fans behind chairs, lids on developers, and patch tests for first-timers. Real ones, 48 hours behind the ear. She shifts clients who can to off-scalp techniques, highlights, and lower PPD lines. Her hands finally heal enough to keep working. A dad covers gray with a natural black kit, 5 minutes, done. That night his ears itch, by morning his scalp burns. He switches to a PPD-free box the next month, reacts again, cross-reaction with PTD. He retreats to semi-permanent vegetable dyes, strategic salt and pepper, and a better cut. He looks like himself again. His skin agrees. Labeled decoding you can do before the gloves go on. PPD hides as p-phenylenediamine, 1,4-benzonediamine, or CI numbers tied to oxidative dyes. PTD appears as toluene 2,5-diamine sulfate. Ammonia-free tells you nothing about PPD. Lash and brow tints using oxidative chemistry are higher risk. Eyes on a test site. Black henna is a red flag. True henna is reddish-brown. If it's jet black and fast, it's likely spiked. Textiles add a quiet layer. Deep blacks in cheap tees, leggings, and sports bras can carry dye residues that irritate sweaty skin. First wash hot with detergent before wearing tight, dark garments, especially for workouts. If a new shirt makes your neck itch, it might be the dye, not the tag. Policy snapshots. Many regions restrict PPD concentration in hair dyes and require warnings. Several ban its use in products applied directly to skin like temporary tattoos. Enforcement is uneven. The safest line is yours. No black henna. No oxidative tints near eyes unless explicitly approved and applied by someone who respects patch testing and ventilation. Practical routines that hold. Always patch test oxidative dyes 48 hours, not 10 minutes, every time, even with brands you've used for years. Sensitization can arrive late. Mix in ventilated spaces. Fans behind you, windows cracked. Petroleum jelly along hairlines keeps dye off skin. Rinse back, not forward, to protect eyelids. Ask colorists about lower PPD systems, off-scalp placement, and highlights to reduce scalp contact. For fashion shades, direct dyes and plant-based options work with honest expectations about fade and upkeep. For salons, make safety the default. Fit nitrile gloves, change them when wet, use bowls with splash guards and mixing lids, and keep safety data sheets at the station. Train juniors to respect patch tests, timing, and ventilation. Put a fan behind every chair, not just at reception. For home, shrink the target. If you react, stop. Try semi-permanent or direct dyes away from the scalp, space out applications, and wash pillowcases twice after coloring. If you're newly sensitized, expect cross-reactions. PPD cousins can trigger you. Bring ingredient panels to a derm for patch testing. You'll leave with a map. 2 micro-stories make it stick. A bride-to-be schedules a patch test 2 months out. A mild reaction sends her to a colorist who builds a highlight plan with no scalp contact. Wedding photos look great. The ER stays out of it. A teen passes on the boardwalk, black henna, and buys a bracelet instead. She keeps the souvenir. She keeps her skin. Reality check. Permanent color is strong, useful chemistry that lots of people tolerate for years. But the risk isn't abstract, and once sensitized, you're on a tighter path. If color is part of who you are, manage it. Patch tests, ventilation, barrier, technique, and ingredients you can name. If black henna beckons, walk away. The cheapest ink can be the most expensive scar. Preservatives in leave-on products. Workers feel trade-offs first. A makeup artist purged parabens after a tour manager asked. Under hot lights, jars spoiled. She rebuilt with airtight compacts, single-dose packets, and a tight kit of fragrance-free moisturizers, some still paraben-preserved, but only with short-chain forms. Her rule got simple. If it touches dozens of faces, preservation has to survive reality without burning eyelids. Here's the nuance that helps. Not all parabens behave the same. Methyl and ethylparaben show weaker estrogenic activity in experimental systems than propyl, butyl, isopropyl, and isobutylparaben. Rinse-offs touch briefly. Leave-ons sit for hours, sometimes under heat and occlusion. Eye creams, lip products, diaper area balms, and body lotions cover thin skin or large areas, so they matter more. The aim isn't purity, it's triage. Trim the long-chain parabens from products that stay. Micro-story at a cramped sink. A grad student with stubborn perioral redness blames winter and dairy. A derm resident asks for labels. Her daily lotion and night cream both list propylparaben and heavy fragrance. She swaps to a fragrance-free moisturizer in an airless pump, preserved with sodium benzoate and gluconolactone. 2 weeks later, the redness calms. She didn't discover a miracle ingredient. She removed 2 quiet irritants and a debated endocrine flag. Another in a nursery. A diaper cream with a cozy scent lists propylparaben near the end. That area is warm, moist, covered, prime conditions for increased penetration. They switch to a simple zinc paste in a tube, fragrance-free, preserved with dihydrocetic acid. Night wakes for itching drop. The victory is boring and precise. Workers read the ledger fast. On set, a stylist tried going paraben-free across everything. Face mists and creams spoiled in summer. She brought back a few short-chain paraben formulas in airless bottles for continuity days and kept donor-free, MI-free basics for everyone else. The rash log thinned. The kit stopped turning. Label translation in 10 seconds. Flip to the last third. Propylparaben, butylparaben, isopropylparaben, isobutylparaben. If you see them in a leave-on, consider a swap. Paraben-free isn't an automatic win. Common replacements like methylisothiazolinone cause far more contact allergy in leave-ons. Formaldehyde donors are a different problem. Look for preservation that fits the base. Sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate in low pH creams, dihydrocetic acid, gluconolactone plus sodium benzoate, and multifunctionals like caprylyl glycol. Pumps and airless bottles help milder systems work. Jars invite fingers, water, and stronger preservatives. A distance runner used fragranced body lotion after showers and found red patches under straps. She switched to a benzoate sorbate preserved, fragrance-free lotion in a pump. The marks faded. A retiree clean hand cream preserved with MI burned every application. She chose a fragrance-free formula that used only methyl and ethylparaben. The burning stopped. Not a paradox, she removed the sensitizer and kept a system her skin tolerated. Household rhythm matters. Start with what touches the most skin the longest. Body lotion, face moisturizer, eye cream, diaper area care, lip balm. Make those fragrance-free by default and avoid the long-chain parabens. Keep hand soaps and shampoos simple and MI-free. They're rinse-offs, but frequency stacks. Sunscreen is non-negotiable. For faces, go mineral and make sure the base doesn't layer avoidable preservatives on top. Action in the aisle. 2 moisturizers, 1 light, 1 rich, fragrance-free in pumps, preserved without long-chain parabens or MI/MCI. 1 diaper paste that's zinc, fragrance-free in a tube. 1 lip balm with a short list and no long-chain parabens. If you tolerate short-chain parabens, they're often fine in rinse-offs and some leave-ons. Just cut the long chains from high-impact spots. Technique outruns marketing. Apply less to start. Thin, even layers reduce occlusion. Patch test new leave-ons on the inner forearm for 3 days before moving them to the face. Store creams cool and capped. Heat and light degrade formulas and stress preservation. If a product stings or itches, stop. That's damage, not proof it's working. Manufacturing can do the rest. Good microbial challenge tests, clean fills, and smarter packaging let milder systems hold. Retailer specs that forbid long-chain parabens in leave-ons and ban MI/MCI close the easy loopholes. When one buyer demands it, the base formula ships everywhere. Reality check. Parabens kept a lot of microbes out of a lot of jars. The longer-chain versions raise enough questions, and alternatives exist for leave-ons that you can skip them without turning skincare into a science project. Don't trade into known sensitizers. Don't chase slogans. Pick simpler formulas, better packaging, and preservation that fits the job. Your skin will tell you're on track when it stops talking. Segment 7. Oxybenzone and octinoxate. We're still at the sink, shifting from what keeps products stable to what shields skin. Sunscreen isn't optional. The active line decides the trade-offs. 2 legacy workhorses, oxybenzone and octinoxate, made older formulas thin, clear, and easy. They also turned up in places nobody expected. Blood samples after routine use and coastal waters where reefs were already stressed. The question isn't whether to wear sunscreen. It's which filters and how, so protection doesn't carry baggage you don't need. Stakes first. This is daily face use, summer sports, camp weeks, lifeguard shifts, mail routes, hours in UV and sweat. Signals around oxybenzone and hormone pathways raised concerns. Octinoxate carries its own. Rinse-off sends actives to showers and rivers. Swim-off sends them straight into oceans. Some regions restricted sales to protect reefs. Many shelves inland didn't change. You still have choices that cover skin well and keep the room air calmer. Action at 7:15 a.m. 2 bottles on a counter. 1 chemical blend listing oxybenzone and octinoxate, 1 tinted zinc. The kids hate white cast. The bus won't wait. The tint goes on fast, disappears. Ears and neck get a stick. Arms get a pump lotion. Nobody complains. The chemical bottle slides to the back and gathers dust. Compliance just got easier because the texture worked. Meanwhile, a swim coach bans aerosols on deck. The air had tasted like solvent, goggles fogged with perfume. She switches the team to pump lotions and mineral sticks for faces, sets a 5-minute reapply drill under shade, towel, water, lotion back in. Pool air stops stinging, sunburn reports drop. Performance came from routine and format, not a reef-friendly slogan. Across town, a trail runner who hates chalky mineral tries again, a zinc gel serum for weekday miles, a lightly tinted mineral for races, plus a brimmed hat. On long routes, he pulls on a UPF shirt and needs less square inches of product. The eye sting problem that used to end runs early vanishes. He didn't find the perfect filter. He changed the toolkit. Here's the patchwork you live in. Some coastal regions restrict oxybenzone and octinoxate. US approvals for newer, elegant chemical filters lag behind Europe. Practical move for faces and kids. Lean mineral, zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, especially in creams and sticks. You get broad spectrum coverage, fewer hormone questions tied to those 2 legacy actives, fewer fumes in small bathrooms, and far less drama on sensitive eyelid. Label translation in 10 seconds. Flip to active ingredients. If you see oxybenzone benzophenone 3 or octinoxate octyl methoxycinamate, decide whether it belongs in your daily rotation. Reef-friendly isn't a regulated term. Trust actives, not slogans. Zinc or titanium only for faces is a clean rule. For bodies, pumps beat sprays, sticks simplify ears, lips, and noses. If cast prevents wear, a chemical option without those 2 filters is better than bare skin. Back it with hats, sleeves, and shade. Micro-stories land the habit. A mail carrier with melasma switches to tinted zinc and a brim. Patches stop deepening each summer. A dermatologist keeps trays of mineral tints shade matched to real skin. Patients finally leave with something they'll use. A dive shop sets out pump jugs of zinc at the dock. Tourists slather what's free, and the captain stops shouting about aerosol clouds. Technique outruns marketing. Sunscreen works when you use enough and reapply after sweat, swimming, and towels. 2 finger lengths for a face, a shot glass for a body. Apply 15 minutes before sun, reapply every 2 hours outside, sooner if toweling off. Sticks make kids' ears easy. Tints solve cast for many tones. Iron oxide tints help with visible light for hyperpigmentation. Sprays waste product and fog lungs. If you insist, use them outdoors and rub in. Packaging matters. Heat ruins formulas. Don't bake bottles in the car or on deck chairs. Check dates. Old sunscreen underperforms. Keep a face tube by toothbrushes to make it automatic, a stick by the door for ears and necks, and a body pump in the bag with towels. If you react, test on the inner arm for 3 days before moving to the face. Reality check. If the only thing your teen will wear is a legacy chemical formula without oxybenzone and octinoxate, use it. Coverage beats principles you won't apply. But build your defaults around mineral for faces and kids, pumps over sprays, and clothing that never expires. You'll protect skin, lower the environmental tab your drain would otherwise carry, and stop tasting perfume on pool decks and in bathroom. Fragrance, allergens, and musks. Lyrol, atronol, galaxolide. We're still in the bathroom, sink, shower shelf, and the towels and pillowcases your face meets after sunscreen comes off. Fragrance on lotions, shampoos, and creams can hide potent allergens like lyrol and oak moss components such as atronol and chloroatronol, plus long-lived synthetic musks like galaxolide that cling to hair, skin, and fabric. The scent doesn't stop at the bottle. It sits on textiles and returns to skin for hours. Stakes first. Eyelids, neck folds, behind ears, and wrists under watchbands, thin skin zones react fast to fragrance allergens. That isn't sensitivity as a personality trait, it's contact dermatitis with names. In air, polycyclic musks persist. Galaxolide doesn't just make laundry smell fresh after the dryer, it sticks in indoor dust and rides wastewater downstream. Your pillowcase becomes a delivery device, your vents become a playlist. Action in a bedroom at 6:30 a.m. A copywriter wakes with puffy eyelids. She blames eye cream, rotates brands, no luck. A pharmacist asks the dull question, did you change detergent or dryer sheets? She rewashes sheets and towels in a fragrance-free detergent, skips softener and dryer sheets, and airs the room. By Thursday, swelling fades. The culprit wasn't skincare. It was a fragrance allergen left on fabric that touches eyelids 8 hours a night. Meanwhile, in a quiet reformulation, European regulators flagged oak moss allergens, atronol and chloroatronol, for strong sensitization and restricted them. Lyral, a widely used lilac note, followed after sensitization data stacked up. Classics were rebuilt to keep the shape without the sting. On US shelves, you can still get fragrance, full stop. If your skin argues with a specific allergen, you won't see its name. Micro story in a laundry room. A marathoner's chest tightness spikes on wash day. He drops dryer sheets, switches to fragrance-free detergent, cracks a window while the machine runs. 2 weeks later, he breathes easier on hills. Not a miracle, less volatile load in a small room. Another at daycare. A director logs frequent mystery rashes. The audit is boring. Unplug plug-ins, switch to fragrance-free detergent for nap mats, and replace scented table sprays with plain soap and a peroxide cleaner. The rash log thins by month's end. Kids nap on fabric, not perfume. Let's decode labels you actually see. Fragrance, parfum, aroma, and masking fragrance are black boxes. In the EU, 26 common allergens must be listed by name above tiny thresholds. Lyral used to appear before its restriction. That gives people a map. Here you guess. Unscented can still mean a masking fragrance. Fragrance-free is safer. Some brands publish their fragrance palette or commit to phthalate-free blends and EU-style allergen disclosure globally. That's useful. Musks are their own problem. Galaxolide and other polycyclic musks are built to last. They cling to textiles, hair, dust, and show up downstream in waterways and aquatic life. That closet of clean smell is a slow release into indoor air. Your nose adapts, your lungs still count it. Household hotspots: laundry, detergents, softeners, dryer sheets. Heat bakes sent into fabric and air. Air care, plug-ins, candles, wax melts. Small rooms turn into continuous diffusers. Cleaners, fresh scent doesn't clean better, it lingers longer. Personal items that meet fabric. Hairspray on pillowcases, body mists on sheets. Practical moves that work. Make your core routine fragrance-free. Detergent, body wash, face cream, hand soap. Skip softeners and dryer sheets. Use wool balls and, if needed, a splash of white vinegar in the rinse. Ventilate during laundry and after cleaning. If you want scent, choose one product you love from a brand that discloses allergens and says phthalate-free fragrance. Use it briefly, then stop. Scent should be an event, not a background. Micro stories landed. A violinist drops scented hand cream before rehearsals. Fishers stop. A landlord removes lobby plug-ins. Complaints dip. A NICU nurse goes fragrance-free at home. Her baby stops rubbing raw eyes. Reality check. Not every fragrance equals harm, and many perfumers moved away from Lyral, Atronal, and legacy musks. But disclosure is thin, and persistence is real. The reliable play is to cut background load and favor transparent brands. Rewash the bed, open a window, skip the softener. When the air goes quiet, skin often does too. Segment 9. PFAS in cosmetics and dental floss. The mirror lies gently, 24-hour wear, waterproof or resistant. The ingredient list tells the truth if you know the code. PFAS make pigments lock, films glide, and floss slip through tight contacts. They also stick around on your skin, in dust, and in water long after you toss the empties. Stakes first. Persistence is the headline and the footnote. Certain well-studied PFAS are linked to immune effects, developmental concerns, and specific cancers at higher exposures. You're not chugging a beaker, you're stacking tiny doses daily. A teen's transfer-proof foundation, a nurse's waterproof mascara, a parent's PTFE floss, none dramatic alone, but repetition plus longevity writes a longer story than any front label admits. Action at a vanity before the train. A commuter loves a liquid lipstick that survives coffee, lunch, and the commute home. That doesn't budge feel often comes from fluorinated slip agents buried mid-list. The box touts confidence. The panel hides perfluoro or polyfluoro prefixes. Down the hall, their partner flosses with a PTFE tape that glides like silk. It feels premium because nothing sticks. The problem is that nothing sticks to PFAS either. Not time, not wastewater systems. Meanwhile, in a lab, screens measuring total fluorine, a PFAS marker, flag a slice of longwear and waterproof cosmetics. Some hits trace to raw material contamination, others to intentionally added fluorinated ingredients. A performance claim rides on a family of chemicals your blood can keep score on. When states start writing no intentionally added PFAS into cosmetics laws, suppliers clean house. Anchors still look camera-ready. Viewers never notice the swap. Workers felt it first. A morning show host wore bulletproof foundation under hot lights, reapplied between segments, and needed harsh removers at night. After her station adopted PFAS-free specs, she switched to a non-fluorinated long-wear base set with powder and blot papers. Her cleanse stopped burning. The washcloth stopped feeling slick. Performance stayed. The residue didn't. Label tells you can learn in a week. In makeup, scan for PTFE and any fluor/perfluoro terms, perfluorooctyltriethioxysilane, polyperfluoromethylisopropyl ether, fluorosilicone variants. Longwear isn't an automatic PFAS flag, but it's your prompt to check. Brands avoiding PFAS often say so plainly and back it with testing or retailer compliance. On floss, PTFE is the giveaway. Silk, nylon, and ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene glide without it. Microstories land the lesson. A marathoner tests 3 PFAS-free waterproof mascaras. The third survives sweat and sunscreen. She keeps 2 and tosses her old standby. A student swaps Glide floss for a waxed nylon tape and adds a dab of toothpaste for slip. By week 2, it feels normal. A makeup artist rebuilds her kit around non-fluorinated film formers, acrylates, silicones, starches, and switches clients to tubing mascaras that slide off with warm water. Red eyes after shoots become rare. Technique beats marketing. To replace a fluorinated base, use a primer with non-fluorinated polymers, apply thin layers set with silica or mica powders, and carry blot papers. For mascara, tubing formulas create polymer sleeves. No PFAS needed, no oil bath at night. For eyeliners and brow gels, check for fluor. Plenty hold without it. For setting, pick alcohol water sprays built on standard film formers and repowder midday instead of building a fluorinated shell. Dentists want plaque gone, not PTFE. If tight contacts make you dread flossing, try silk tape, woven flossers, or UHMWPE strands. Angle the floss into a C shape and slide under the gum line. If dexterity is an issue, use floss picks or interdental brushes. Still no PTFE required. Retailers are already doing your pro-work. Big chains banning intentionally added PFAS in house brand cosmetics, forced documentation, supplier attestations, total fluorine testing, reformulated bases. When one buyer demands a clean spec, the same base ships everywhere. Your receipt multiplies the change. Environmental ripple stays quiet until it is. What you rinse at night becomes tomorrow's treatment problem. Wastewater plants weren't built for forever chemistry. Cutting intentional uses in vanity routines is the easy part of a hard puzzle. Reality check. Not every longwear product hides PFAS, and not all PFAS behave alike. But persistence tilts the equation. Start with 3 daily habits: foundation, mascara, floss. Check for fluorinated clues, favor brands with published PFAS policies, and test data and run a 2-week swap. If your mirror looks the same and your sink carries less of something that never lets go, you found the point. Segment 10. Methylisothiazolinone, MI, and methylchloroisothiazolinone, MCI. Open the shower caddy and the kitchen sink. The tiny biocides that set off a global rash hide near the end of ingredient lists. Methylisothiazolinone and methylchloroisothiazolinone, MI and MCI, keep water-heavy products from growing life. Wipes, shampoos, hand soaps, dish liquids, bucket cleaners, even wall paints. When parabens fell out of favor, many brands dropped these in and kept everything else the same. Clinics filled with red eyelids, burning lips, cracked hands, and diaper area rashes that wouldn't quit. Stakes first. This is contact allergy you don't see coming. Babies wiped 10 times a day, teachers pumping foam soap between classes, dishwashers soaking hands in warm suds, cleaners working in steam. Eyelids, lips, ear rims, neck folds, and hands get hit hardest. Leave-ons were the worst mistake. Even rinse-offs tip some people over when exposure repeats daily. In Europe, bans in leave-ons and tight limits in rinse-offs drove allergy rates down. That's the proof. Policy moves needles, not slogans. Action in a nursery at 2 a.m., a parent swaps to sensitive wipes after a diaper rash flares. By Friday, the area looks sunburned. They try another brand, no change. A nurse mentions MI. They squint at the tiny print. Methylisothiazolinone sits at the end of the list. They move to water-based wipes and a simple zinc paste. 48 hours later, the skin calms. The diaper wasn't the problem. The preservative on the wipe was. Unknown to them, across town, a barista's eyelids burn every winter. She blames eye cream and mascara and spends rent money cycling products. Patch testing lights up for isothiazolinones. The triggers aren't the glam items, they're the gentle foam hand soap at the cafe and the dish liquid at home. She brings her own liquid soap to work, asks the manager to switch restrooms, and swaps her kitchen bottle. 2 weeks later, the burning stops. Boring fixes, complete relief. Workers clock the pattern first. A painter's knuckles split each season, not just from cold, but from washing rollers in preserved detergents and hours around fresh paint dosed with related isothiazolinons. Gloves plus a soap change closed fissures he'd accepted as winter. A school custodian wiped desks with a fragranced, preserved spray in rooms without fans. Coughs and hand rashes were constant. Facilities moved to peroxide cleaner, fragrance-free soaps, and opened windows during cleaning. The nurse log shrank. Here's how we got pinned. Parabens left. MIMCI arrived as the quick plug. Preservation worked, people didn't. Europe banned MIMCI and leave-ons and narrowed rinse-off limits. Big wipe brands reformulated globally. In the US, you still find MI in hand soaps, dish liquids, shampoos, wipes, and bucket cleaners. Patch test clinics teach the same lesson. Thin skin and wet work multiply exposure. Label tells you can spot in 30 seconds. Scan the tail end for methylisothiazolinon, methylchloroisothiazolinon, cathon, the blend, and benzisothiazolinon in some cleaners. Octylistothiazolinon shows up in paints and outdoor coatings. If MIMCI appears in anything that stays on skin, lotions, makeup removers, wipes, put it back. High-frequency rinse-offs, hand soap, dish liquid, shampoo matter too if you're already irritated. Household hotspots most people miss. Sensitive, wipes and micellar waters that aren't. MI in the fine print. Foam hand soaps at kitchen and classroom sinks, used 50 times a day. Dish liquids plus hot water turning minutes into hours across a week. Bucket cleaners and shower scrubs in small, steamy bathrooms. Fresh paint and roller wash for people handling walls weekly. Practical swaps that hold. Make core products fragrance-free and MI-free. Hand soap, dish liquid, face wash, baby wipes. Pick preservation systems like sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate at low pH, dihydroacetic acid, gluconolactone plus sodium benzoate, and multifunctionals like caprylyl glycol, especially in pumps and airless packaging. For daily cleaning, lean on soap and water with microfiber. Keep hydrogen peroxide or alcohol for high-risk messes. Ventilate while you clean. Gloves for extended wet work protect skin barriers. Nitrile beats latex for most. A 2-week home trial catches patterns. Swap wipes to water-based. No MIMCI, no fragrance. Replace all hand soaps with MI-free, fragrance-free liquids. Change dish liquid. Add gloves and crack a window. Pick an MI-free shampoo and body wash. Log eyelids, lips, hands. Watch the slope, not the day. If you suspect isothiazolinons, see a dermatologist and bring label photos. While you wait, run the trial. If the rash ebbs, that's your lever. Reality check. MI and MCI solved real microbial problems on factory floors. They caused very real skin problems in homes. The exit isn't exotic. Different preservatives, better packaging, fewer fragrances, more ventilation, and gloves when water meets time. Your house stays clean. Your eyelids stop keeping score. Segment 11. Quats and ammonium compounds, BAC, DDAC. The kitchen counter gleams, the wipe smells reassuring, and the air tastes faintly chemical. Quaternary ammonium compounds, quats do that. Benzalkonium chloride and diethyldimethylammonium chloride punch holes in microbes and then hang around on surfaces, fabrics, and hands. During the pandemic, hospital chemistry moved into living rooms. Kills 99.9% felt like safety. The residue stayed when the fear faded. Stakes first, this is lungs, skin, and small rooms. Quats are respiratory irritants. Repeated exposure in tight spaces tracks with wheeze and work-related asthma patterns for cleaners, teachers, and childcare workers. On skin, they sting and dry already overwashed hands. Residue on desks transfers to fingers, then eyelids. The loop is simple. Wipe, touch, rub. The smell reads clean. The cough keeps score. Action in a third-grade classroom at 8:05 a.m. The bell rings. The teacher swipes every desk with a fragranced quat wipe. Windows are sealed for HVAC efficiency. By lunch, 2 kids ask for the nurse, watery eyes, tight chests. The teacher's knuckles burn despite sensitive lotion. Facilities reads labels, BAC, DDAC, and rewrites the routine. Soap and water clean first, hydrogen peroxide cleaner for daily touch points, stronger disinfectant only for vomit, blood, and outbreak notices, and fans on for contact time. 2 weeks later, the room smells like pencils and dry erase markers. Nurse visits fall. Meanwhile, a rideshare driver missed a quat spray between trips, windows up, AC on recirculate. By hour 2, the headache is predictable. He switches to alcohol wipes for high-touch spots at shift end, keeps sanitizer for himself, and cracks windows for a 60-second purge. Ratings stay high. The cough doesn't come back. Micro-story in a salon. Combs and clips soaked in a quat tub between clients. Stylists' knuckles split every winter. The owner rereads state rules, clean with soap and water, then disinfect with approved options at stated contact times and ventilate. She adds lids on jars, timers for dwell time, and fans behind stations. Hands heal because the chemical sits the right minutes in the jar, not hours on skin and air. Another hotspot hides in the laundry room. Fabric softeners and dryer sheets often use cationic surfactants, quat-like compounds, to coat fibers. They make towels feel soft and smell fresh, while wrecking absorbency, irritating some skin, and adding a slow-release film that heats off in the dryer. Drop softeners use wool balls and add a vinegar rinse. Towels drink again, the drum stops perfuming the hallway. Labeled decoding takes 30 seconds. On wipes and sprays, benzalkonium chloride, alkyl dimethylbenzyl ammonium chloride, diethyl dimethyl ammonium chloride. If it ends in ammonium chloride, it's a quat. Mouthwashes and throat sprays may use cetylpyridinium chloride, effective locally but not a daily background for irritated mouths. Antibacterial hand soaps that aren't alcohol-based often rely on BAC. They're harsher on hands and slower on many viruses. Plain soap for routine washing. 60–70% alcohol sanitizer away from sinks. Targeted disinfection when risk exists. This was the moment everything changed for a district buyer. Complaint logs spiked after a new wipe contract. She lined up safety data sheets, circled BAC and DDAC, and called vendors. Within a month, the district standardized on fragrance-free hand soap, peroxide cleaners for daily use, and a protocol that saved quats for bodily fluids and outbreak notices. Custodians got gloves, caddies with lids, and better carts. Chemical spend dropped because overwiping stopped. Nurse visits dipped with it. Technique outruns anxiety. Clean first, soap, water, microfiber lift the biology. Disinfect when it matters, bathrooms, raw meat spills, illness zones, then let it sit the full contact time and ventilate. Never fog a room you wouldn't smoke in. Rinse food contact surfaces after heavy disinfection. Measure concentrates, label bottles, wear gloves for wet work, and crack a window. Micro-stories make it stick. A parent replaces the kitchen quat spray with a peroxide cleaner and teaches a two-cloth routine, one to clean, one to dry. Sticky counters disappear. After-dinner coughs do too. A gym drops quat fogging, posts fans at doors, uses alcohol on handles and soap on mats. Members stop tasting chemicals mid-set. Reality check. Quats belong in isolation rooms, outbreak response, and specific sanitation tasks. They don't need daily residency on coffee tables, desks, or toys. Your home gets cleaner when clean means removal, not residue. Save heavy disinfectants for the moments that earn them. Let air move. Let surfaces dry. And let fresh be the absence of smell, not a film you carry on your hand. Segment 12. Aluminum salts and controversial antiperspirants. Open the medicine cabinet and the locker bag. This is where preference meets chemistry. Deodorant handles odor. Antiperspirant changes sweat. Aluminum salts, aluminum chlorohydrate, and aluminum zirconium blends plug sweat ducts so shirts stay dry. They work. They can also sting freshly shaved skin, leave yellow stains, and keep rumors alive your label doesn't settle. Stakes first. This is daily use on thin, sometimes abraded skin, starting at puberty and running for decades. Irritation and folliculitis show up fast when salts meet micro nicks. Fragrance layered on occluded underarms adds another irritant. The bigger fear, links to breast cancer or neurodegenerative disease, hasn't been proven at typical consumer use. But uncertainty plus lifelong frequency keeps people uneasy. Teens, athletes, postpartum bodies, and anyone with a compromised skin barrier have less margin for error. You don't need fear, you need fit and timing. Action in a high school locker room. A forward swipes antiperspirant before practice, after a shower, and again before the bus. 8 passes feel like insurance. By week 2, his pits burn. The trainer resets the routine. Shave at night or not at all. Apply antiperspirant to dry skin at bedtime so plugs form while you sleep. Shower in the morning. Use an unscented deodorant for daytime odor if needed. Within days, the rash fades and shirts stay wearable. He stops confusing pain with performance. Meanwhile, a pastry chef starts every shift under a hot hood. Natural deodorants tap out by noon. She splits the week. Aluminum antiperspirant on double shifts. Aluminum-free deodorant plus a quick sink wash on prep days. A spare cotton tee in her bag. She drops heavy fragrance too. Red patches vanish because she removed the biggest irritants, over-application and perfume, while keeping sweat control when it mattered. Micro story at a clinic front desk. A breast cancer navigator answers the same question daily. Do I have to stop? She sticks to evidence. There's no confirmed causal link at typical use, but avoid applying to broken or healing skin around surgery or radiation. Go unscented to cut irritants. Reintroduce slowly once skin integrity returns. The relief isn't in absolutes, it's in a plan that respects healing. Here's the technique that outruns marketing. Antiperspirant works best at night because sweat flow is lower, plugs last into the next day, so you don't need constant reapplication. If it burns, stop. Burning isn't extra strength, it's damage. If odor, not wetness, is the problem, there are aluminum-free routes. Gentle acid toners to shift pH, magnesium hydroxide creams, zinc ricinoate to bind odor. If sweat soaks meetings or uniforms despite routine, talk to a clinician. Prescription strength aluminum, glycopyrrolate wipes, onabotulinum toxin A, or device options exist. Label translation in 5 seconds. Deodorant masks odor. Antiperspirant reduces sweat and must list a drug active like aluminum chlorohydrate or aluminum zirconium tetrachlorohydrex GLY under drug facts. Aluminum-free means deodorant only. If baking soda formulas burn, choose BS-free options that use magnesium, zinc, or acids. Unscented beats clean or fresh. Fewer fragrance allergens, fewer variables. Wardrobe is chemistry too. Tight synthetics trap heat. Natural fibers and performance weaves let moisture evaporate. Underarm pads and washable shields protect blazers better than doubling product. Yellow stains often come from aluminum salts reacting with detergent residue. Use less detergent, rinse well, pre-treat with an enzyme spray and wash sooner. High heat sets stains, patience and cool soaks lift them. Workers feel the trade-offs first. A yoga teacher ditches antiperspirant for class, keeps an unscented deodorant, a towel, and a backup top. Students stop coughing when she assists. A patrol officer on summer duty sticks with antiperspirant, but moves to night-only application and unscented sticks. Folliculitis finally breaks its cycle. Teens need the quiet path. Start with washing and unscented deodorant. Bring antiperspirant in for sports or stage lights. Teach timing, and less is more. One good habit now prevents years of irritation later. Practical routine you can keep. Night, antiperspirant on dry skin, thin layer, no stacking fragrances. Morning, shower, pat dry, unscented deodorant if needed. Shave, evenings, not right before applying. Reset, 1 fragrance-free week each season to check if irritation is product or habit. Reality check. If sweat triggers dread, antiperspirant can be the difference between calm and hiding. Use it like a tool, right timing, right amount, unscented when possible. If odor's the only battle, aluminum-free routes plus fabric choices usually win. The goal isn't purity. It's comfort without the burn, control without the cloud, and a shelf that matches your day instead of a slogan. Segment 13. BPA, BPS, and plasticizers in packaging and receipts. Before we leave the mirror and the sink, step 1 notch back from the formulas. The container is chemistry too. Linings, pumps, caps, squeeze tubes, baby gear, and even the paper that spits from a register can join your routine without ever being printed on an ingredient panel. The exposures aren't loud. They're warm cars, hot soup, oily sauces, and quick fingers at a counter. Steaks first, bisphenols, BPA, BPS, BPF, harden plastics and line cans. Certain phthalates and plasticizers soften vinyl and make tubing flexible. Heat, oil, time, and friction move them into what you touch and eat. Endocrine timing matters most in pregnancy, infancy, and puberty, but adults swim in the same stream. BPA-free often just means BPS instead. Your label wins the headline. Your day keeps the habit. Action on a summer shift. A cafe manager runs the till as the line bends to the door. Thermal receipts spool warm, powdery, and fast. She tears a slip, tucks hair behind her ear, splits a stack of cups, and opens a muffin bag. Paper to fingers to food is a loop you don't feel. Across town, a parent microwaves pasta in the takeout tub it came in. The lid bows, the sauce goes glossy, the kitchen smells faintly plastic. Later, formula from a line can warms in a bottle, while a pacifier pops from a soft PVC package. None of it looks like chemistry, all of it is. Meanwhile, in a cosmetics warehouse, a face oil that stayed perfect in amber glass drifts if stored in polypropylene jars under heat. The scent flattens, the color warms. A packaging engineer flags the cap liner and antioxidant package. They move to glass with a lined aluminum cap. The formula stops wandering. The fix wasn't a new preservative, it was a different container. Workers felt the paper first. A pharmacist with chronic hand dermatitis handles hundreds of receipts a day. She shifts the POS to digital first, switches to phenol-free rolls, keeps nitrile gloves for rushes and washes before breaks. The fissures finally close. The pills didn't change. The paper did. Labeled decoding in seconds. BPA-free on a can is a start, not an answer. Ask what replaced it. Acrylic and polyester linings are common. BPS isn't a victory lap. Thermal paper gives itself away. Glossy finish darkens with a fingernail swipe, leaves a film. Flexible PVC hides under recycle code 3. Hard polycarbonate often shows up as 7. Codes aren't destiny, but they sort your kitchen. Practical moves that survive real life. Favor fresh or frozen over canned staples when you can. When you can't, rinse beans and tomatoes and transfer leftovers to glass. Don't microwave in plastic. Reheat in glass or ceramic with a plate lid. Replace scratched containers. Rough surfaces shed and leach more. Stainless or glass for water bottles, especially in hot cars. Swap soft vinyl shower curtains for PEVA or fabric. For babies, pick glass or polypropylene bottles rated for heat. Follow soak times so parts don't stew in boiling water. Receipts go digital by default. If you must handle them, don't crumple. Stash away from food and wash before eating. If you run a register, train the email or no receipt. Script and switch to phenol-free stock. Gloves during rushes aren't overkill. They're what finally heals split skin. Micro stories landed. A teacher who lived on canned chickpeas emails 2 brands. One confirms acrylic linings, the other won't say. She switches, rinses, and keeps a running list on her phone. A commuter stops microwaving in takeout tubs. Pasta tastes better, and the container stops smelling like last week's curry. A parent moves lip balms out of the car. They stop bleeding oil and tasting like dashboard. Reality check. You won't purge bisphenols and plasticizers in a weekend. You don't need to. Remove heat, oil, and food from your worst pairings. Plastic plus microwave, thermal paper plus snacks, balms plus hot cars, glass and stainless where they make sense, digital receipts when they're easy, 1 can staple at a time toward brands that publish linings. Quiet swaps, daily wins. Lightning round. 15 more red flag chemicals. We've named the big anchors. Now clear the rest that sneak in through habits and hardware. Fast stakes, simple swaps, no drama. Toluene in nail products. It thins polish and levels beautifully while headaches pile up in small rooms. Choose reduced solvent-free formulas, open a window, and set a small fan pulling fumes away from you, not past your face. Pros, tabletop source capture beats any scented candle. Formaldehyde in keratin hair treatments. Heat turns methylene glycol into gas. Eyes sting, lungs burn, salons pay first. If a service needs respirators and closed doors, skip it. Pick verified formaldehyde-free smoothing or embrace strategic cuts, conditioners, and round brush technique. Resorcinol in oxidative dyes. It's a key coupler with skin and endocrine concerns. Lower exposure with off-scalp techniques, lower resorcinol lines, strong ventilation, and strict patch tests. At home, demi or direct dyes reduce contact. Never use oxidative kits on brows or lashes. Benzene contamination in aerosols. It rides in via tainted propellants and solvents. We've seen recalls for dry shampoos, sunscreens, and deodorants. Prefer pumps, sticks, and powders. If you must spray, go outdoors, downwind, away from faces, and check recall lists by lot code. Coal tar in dandruff shampoos. Effective for scaling, controversial for long courses, and not sold in some countries. Use as a short stint under clinician guidance. Rotate with zinc pyrithione alternatives, selenium sulfide, or ketoconazole. Ventilate the shower, don't fog it. BPA, BPS in acidic and linings. Tomato products leach more. Buy glass or cartons when possible. If canned, pick brands that disclose acrylic or polyester linings, decant leftovers to glass, and avoid reheating in the can. Chlorpyrifos legacy on produce imports. It's banned in many regions, but residues can linger on certain crops. Wash and peel high-risk produce, check sourcing, and lean on frozen when seasonal testing flags spikes. Nonylphenol ethoxylates in detergents. They break down to more potent nonylphenols in waterways. Pick detergents built on safer surfactants, glucosides, well-specified alcohol ethoxylates, and avoid off-brand industrial-strength imports without disclosure. UV filter homosalate in face sunscreens. Under tighter, review elsewhere at high concentrations. If chemical formulas are your only wearables, choose ones without homosalate, oxybenzone, or octinoxate. Otherwise, go mineral for faces and keep sprays out of rooms. BHA in snack foods and cosmetics. A preservative with cancer concerns in animal studies. Check chips, gums, lipsticks, and balms. Choose BOSS/BHD-free where possible, store oils cool, and use airless pumps so fresher formulas need fewer stabilizers. BHD in moisturizers and packaged foods. Similar playbook, favor fresher oils, BHD-free claims, and tight packaging. You'll taste it in nuts and smell it in face oils when it's right. Phosphate-heavy dishwasher detergents. They fuel algal blooms. Most regions phase them out, but bargain bulk stock can lag. Choose phosphate-free tabs, scrape plates, skip pre-rinse, and clean filters. You'll save water in your river. Chlorinated paraffins in lubes and sealants. Persistent, bioaccumulative, and restricted in stricter markets. DIY with SCCP/MCCP free labels, nitrile gloves, and real ventilation. Keep receipts and SDS. Garages deserve paint booth rules. Synthetic nitro and polycyclic musks in air care. We covered galaxolide, add musk ketone and friends that collect in dust. Make fragrance-free your default. If you want scent, pick one product briefly, then stop. Vent beats perfume. Ethanolamines, MEA-DEAT in cleaners and cosmetics. They can form nitrosamines with certain contaminants. Limit multi-amine stacks in daily products and favor brands that test for nitrosamines, especially in leave-on. Micro stories to lock it in. A guitarist's headaches vanish after swapping aerosol dry shampoo for a powder and cracking a window at the vanity. A line cook quits chlorinated paraffin shop lube at home, nitrile gloves, and a new grease end the forearm flares. A parent moves tomatoes to glass and beans to cartons. Dinner tastes brighter and the bin gets lighter. 2 aisles to remember: nails and hair. Ventilation, solvent-reduced polishes, no formaldehyde smoothers, patch tests for dyes, fans behind chairs. Pantry and plastics. Glass where heat or acid lives, cartons for tomatoes, fewer aerosols, digital receipts, reuse known safe containers. Your 2-week checklist. Swap aerosol grooming to solids or pumps, move tomatoes to glass, pick a phosphate-free dishwasher tab, switch one cleaner off ethanolamines, and ask your salon about smoothing and ventilation. If they can't answer, that's your answer. Why labels fail you? We've toured the rooms and cut the easy drips. Now the wall you keep hitting isn't a bottle, it's the label itself. Labels were built to satisfy rulebooks that slice your home into categories you don't live by. That's why you can do everything right in the aisle and still bring home a ghost you never see named. Start with the biggest blank, fragrance. One word, fragrance, parfum, aroma, can legally stand in for dozens of ingredients, solvents, fixatives, stabilizers, allergens. In stricter markets, many common allergens must be listed by name once they cross tiny thresholds. Here, the blend is a trade secret. So the rash on your eyelids becomes a detective story with no suspect list. Your laundry carries musks that sit in dust. And an unscented product can still contain a masking scent that irritates the same skin you tried to protect. The second blank is even quieter. Contaminants that aren't intentionally added don't have to be listed. Ethoxylated surfactants can carry 1,4-dioxane unless suppliers strip it. Aerosols can pick up benzene from tainted propellants. Nitrosamines can form when certain amines meet the wrong impurities. Your ingredient panel is a statement of intent, not a full inventory of what's actually in the bottle. You can read every line, avoid the obvious traps, and still end up with something your sink, skin, or air didn't bargain for. Then there's the category split. You live in one room, the law sees 4 agencies. A deodorant might be a cosmetic, an antiperspirant is an over-the-counter drug. A disinfecting wipe is a pesticide. A candle is just a consumer good. The sofa spray is a textile treatment. That's how a bathroom soap can sound medical without proving it beats plain soap. A counter spray can promise 99.9% without telling you what sticks to your lungs after it dries. and a long-wear foundation can skate by with performance claims while the film formers never show up as a flag you recognize. Marketing fills the cracks with words that sound like safety and aren't standards. Natural, hypoallergenic, dermatologist tested, reef-friendly. None of those promises guarantees no phthalates in fragrance, no isothiazolinons in a gentle wash, no oxybenzone or octinoxate in a beach bottle, or no PFAS in a long-wear base. Even BPA-free often just means BPS instead, a swap that keeps the headline and dodges the biology. You got the claim. You didn't get the replacement. Packaging is the ingredient panel you never see. Caps, liners, pumps, reservoirs, and can linings touch what you touch and eat, but they don't sit on the neat list you scan. The jar that leaches at heat doesn't confess on the box. The thermal receipt that dusts your fingers with bisphenols doesn't arrive with a warning. You figure it out the old way, by rash, by taste, or by a water bill that creeps up when utilities chase contaminants downstream. Timing hides the rest. Leave on versus rinse off matters more than labels say. Eye creams live on thin skin for hours. Shampoos pass by in a minute. Laundry runs through heat into fabric and then back out as air you breathe. Sunscreen actives sit in your morning routine every day, not just at the beach. A small dose with long contact beats a longer list with short contact, but panels rarely help you rank that risk. You're left translating exposure by routine, not by words on a bottle. Here's the twist that keeps catching people. Reformulations roll under your radar. A brand drops parabens and plugs the hole with MI, then years later swaps again when clinics light up with rashes. A detergent changes suppliers and 1,4-dioxane creeps back until a state cap forces vacuum stripping. A long-wear line trades one fluorinated additive for another, and the list still reads like Latin, unless a retailer policy or a regional rule demands disclosure and testing. You learn by reaction, not by reading. Even when disclosure exists, it's often stuck behind a QR code, a corporate PDF, or a customer service script. A fragrance is phthalate-free is useful. Here are the EU-listed allergens we disclose globally is better. We test and cap 1,4-dioxane and ethoxylated inputs and can show results actually changes what washes down your drain. Most labels stop where the font size ends. The answers that matter live in specs and lab report. So what do you do with a label that can't carry the whole story? You change the questions and the defaults. Ask brands about processes, not slogans. How do you control 1,4-dioxane and ethoxylated ingredients, supplier specs, vacuum stripping, lot testing? Do you use any intentionally added fluorinated ingredients, PTFE, perfluoro, polyfluoro in this product line? Which preservatives are in this formula? And do you use MI/MCI or formaldehyde donors in any leave-ons? Do you disclose EU-listed fragrance allergens globally, even where not required? Real answers include methods and numbers. If support can't tell you, that's an answer too. Set defaults that dodge the label's blind spots. Make fragrance-free your baseline for products that hit the most skin and fabric, detergent, body lotion, face cream, hand soap. Choose mineral filters for faces and kids so the active line answers itself. Favor pumps and airless packaging so milder preservation works. Avoid aerosols in small rooms so you don't inhale your choices. Use soap and water for daily cleaning and reserve disinfectants for messes that earn them. Put glass and stainless where heat or acid lives. Go digital on receipts. These choices work even when the panel is quiet. Track reactions like data, not drama. If a product stings, itches, or makes you cough, stop and note the lot code where it touched and what else was in play. Detergent, dryer sheets, cleaners that day. That boring log gives a dermatologist enough to patch test well, gives customer service a chance to escalate to quality control, and gives a school or employer a reason to change a spec that fixes the whole building. And widen the lens when you can. Retailer standards force supplier testing. School and clinic procurement policies turn fragrance-free and MI-free leave-ons into defaults. Simple ventilation targets cut exposure across categories without changing a single label. You shouldn't have to become a chemist to shop, but until rules catch up, your questions and your receipts are the fastest levers. The label won't ever tell you everything. It wasn't designed to. But once you know where it's silent, fragrance, contaminants, packaging, timing, you can build a routine that steps around those blanks. Fewer guesses, better defaults. Quiet skin, quiet air, and fewer surprises hidden behind nice words. The personal audit. Simple, fast swaps. Let's make this boring in the best way. One cart, a few habits, and less chemistry in your day without turning your sink into a lab. You're not aiming for perfect. You're aiming for fewer daily drips in the places that touch the most skin, hit the most air, and meet the most heat. Start with your 5 daily workhorses: shampoo, body or face lotion, sunscreen, deodorant, and laundry detergent. If you've got a baby or sensitive skin at home, add wipes. If you wear makeup or floss nightly, add those too. The goal is simple. Cut avoidable exposures where frequency, skin area, and airtime multiply. Shampoo first. Flip the bottle. If you see formaldehyde donors or MIMCI near the tail, put it back. If the surfactant's red with ETH or PEG, check the brand's site for how they control 1,4-dioxane. If there's no answer, choose non-ethoxylated bases, glucosides, isethionates, sarcosonates that still lather and rinse clean. Fragrance-free as your default for a month resets your scalp and your bathroom air. Lotion next. Leave-ons drive exposure. Skip MIMCI and formaldehyde donors outright and avoid long-chain parabens in anything that sits for hours. Body lotion, eye cream, diaper area care, lip balm. Choose preservation that fits the base. Sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate in low pH creams, dihydrocetic acid, gluconolactone plus sodium benzoate, and multifunctionals like caprylyl glycol. Pumps and airless bottles help milder systems work. Wide-mouth jars invite fingers, water, and stronger preservatives. Sunscreen is non-negotiable. Make mineral your default for faces and kids, zinc or titanium, ideally tinted to dodge cast. Keep a stick by the door for ears and necks and a body pump in the swim bag. If a teen will only wear a chemical formula, pick one without oxybenzone or octinoxate and back it up with hats and sleeves. Sprays belong outdoors or not at all. They waste product and fog lungs. Deodorant and antiperspirant are about fit. If odor's the problem, try unscented deodorant plus a quick wash, not layer after layer of perfume. If wetness is the problem, apply antiperspirant at night to dry skin. Plugs form while you sleep and last into the day. If baking soda burns, choose BS-free options that use magnesium, zinc, or gentle acids. If sweat still soaks uniforms or meetings, talk to a clinician about prescription strength options. Laundry changes the whole house. Switch to a fragrance-free detergent. Ditch fabric softeners and dryer sheets. They coat fibers, irritate skin, and vent into your air. Use wool balls and, if needed, a splash of white vinegar in the rinse. Vent during drying. Real clean smells like nothing. Wipes need to be boring. Choose water-based, fragrance-free, no MIMCI. If you're stuck with scented while traveling, rinse a wipe under the tap before using. It won't erase everything, but it will dilute what you don't want until you're home. Makeup and floss, then done. Scan long wear and waterproof formulas for PTFE and Fluor/Perfluoro anywhere on the list. Swap to non-fluorinated film formers, tubing mascaras that slide off with warm water, and setting powders you can reapply. For floss, silk, nylon, or UHMWPE tapes glide without PTFE. Angle into a C shape. Slides get easier by week 2. Daily cleaners should be soap and water plus microfiber. Keep hydrogen peroxide or alcohol for high-risk messes and disinfect when it matters with contact time and ventilation. Skip quat fogging and fragranced wipes in small rooms. Your nose will reset. Your cough will, too. Kitchen habits do quiet work. Don't microwave in plastic, reheat in glass or ceramic with a plate lid. Store acidic or fatty foods in glass. Choose fresh or frozen over canned when you can. When you can't, rinse and transfer to glass. Go digital on receipts. If you handle thermal paper, keep it away from food and wash hands before eating. Now make it affordable and doable. Replace one category per week and stop chasing 15 things at once. Week 1, laundry. Fragrance-free detergent, no softeners or dryer sheets. You'll feel it on your skin and smell it in your rooms fast. Week 2, lotion. One light, one rich, fragrance-free in pumps, preserved without long-chain parabens or MIMCI. Week 3, sunscreen. Mineral for faces and kids, a stick by the door, a body pump in the bag. No sprays inside. Week 4, shampoo. Donor-free, MI-free. Dioxane controlled if ethoxylated, or pick non-ethoxylated surfactants. Week 5, deodorant antiperspirant routine. Night application for antiperspirant, unscented deodorant for daytime odor. Week 6, floss. No PTFE. Week 7, hand soap and dish liquid. Fragrance-free, MI-free. Week 8, one scented indulgence you actually love from a brand that discloses allergens and says phthalate-free. Use it briefly, then stop. Use up versus toss is simple. Toss immediately if it stings, burns, gives you a cough, or if it's an MCI leave-on for kids. Aerosols you breathe near your face can go too. Otherwise, finish what's open while you line up replacements. Don't move a problem from skin to landfill in one night. Technique beats hero products. Apply thin, even layers to reduce occlusion. Patch test new leave-ons on the inner forearm for 3 days before moving to your face. Store products cool and capped, heat and light stress formulas and preservation. Crack a window during laundry and cleaning. Measure detergent, more isn't cleaner, it's residue. Packaging is part of the formula. Pumps beat jars. Airless beats wide mouth. Glass or metal beats soft plastic for oils and balms, especially in heat. Waterless formats, bars, sticks, powders need less preservation and travel better. Ask sharper questions in one email. Do you use intentionally added fluorinated ingredients? How do you control 1,4-dioxane in ethoxylated inputs? Which preservatives are in this product? Do you disclose EU-listed fragrance allergens globally? Real answers mention methods and numbers. Slogans don't. Track the boring data. When a flare fades or a headache stops, jot the brand, lot code where it touched and the week. Patterns beat memory. When something works, quiet skin, clear air, buy a backup and stop tinkering. Give it 2 weeks. That's enough for eyelids to calm after ditching fragranced laundry, for hands to heal after an MI-free soap swap, and for your bathroom to smell like water and tile. Small, consistent, and dull wins. Your house isn't a lab. Your body isn't a filter. You nudge the routine, the air gets quiet, and the labels matter less. The system change. What works? You tightened your own routine. Now pull the levers that change thousands of routines at once. Disclosure, procurement, worker logs, ventilation, and simple specs that live in purchase orders, not in slogans. Start with disclosure people can actually use. Ingredient labels won't carry everything, so ask for the next layer. Publish PFAS policies for cosmetics with test methods and thresholds. Confirmation that ethoxylated inputs are capped for 14-dioxane with supplier specs, vacuum stripping, and lot testing. EU-style fragrance allergen disclosure even where it's not required, and plain naming of preservative systems by product. When one national retailer demands those answers for house brands, suppliers standardize to the stricter spec rather than run 2 formulas. Your receipt becomes regulation by default. Procurement moves faster than law. A district, a gym chain, a clinic, a daycare network, any of them can write a 1-page spec that does more than marketing ever will. Fragrance-free, hand soaps, and laundry for shared linens. MCI free leave-ons. MCI tightly limited in rinse-offs. No intentionally added PFAS in cosmetics and dental items. Numeric caps on 14-dioxane for ethoxylated detergents and shampoos. Daily cleaning with soap and water or hydrogen peroxide. Quats reserved for vomit, blood, and posted outbreaks. No aerosols indoors for routine use. Vendors already have compliant lines. They want the contract. They align. Results show up where you feel them. Fewer nurse visits for coughs and headaches, fewer eyelid and hand rashes, fewer complaints after lunch. Workers are your sensors. Treat them like instruments, not anecdotes. The custodian who coughs after fogging a classroom. The stylist whose wrists burn on blowout days. The rideshare driver with headaches after in-car sprays. The preschool teacher with noon migraines in a scented room. Give them a simple log. Product name, lot code, room, time, symptom. That log turns, I don't feel good, into a pattern facilities can act on. Swap products. Add fans, retrain on contact times, buy gloves, and adjust schedules so heavy disinfecting happens after hours with ventilation running. Ventilation is chemistry's quiet partner. Fans behind styling chairs, bathroom exhausts that actually pull, laundry rooms vented outdoors, operable windows, or mechanical purges during and after cleaning. None of it is glamorous, but it cuts exposures across categories, fragrance, quats, solvents, aerosols, without changing a single label. Write targets into maintenance schedules. Measure with a cheap code 2 meter as a proxy for fresh air, then fix the dead zone. Retailers set the floor. House brand standards can ban intentionally added PFAS. require EU allergen disclosure, enforce MI/MCI bans in leave-ons, and set numeric ceilings for 14-dioxane. Tie those standards to supplier attestations and periodic third-party testing, total fluorine screens for long-wear makeup, GC-MS scans for benzene in aerosols by lot, and dioxane data for ethoxylate. Once a big buyer enforces it, the same cleaned-up base ships to every shelf because logistics hate complexity. Testing is the accountability that sticks. Pool budgets across districts or co-ops to run spot checks. Use rapid total fluorine screens to flag suspect cosmetics, then confirm. Contract labs can scan for 14-dioxane and benzene in high-risk categories. Make results part of vendor scorecards. When testing moves upstream, your sink stops being the detection system. Keep the institutional playbook short so people use it. Fragrance-free soaps and laundry for all shared linens and bathrooms. Daily clean with soap and water or peroxide. Disinfect only when risk exists and honor contact times. No aerosols indoors. Pumps and wipes only when ventilation is on. MI/MCI-free wipes and leave-ons. PTFE-free floss in dental giveaways. PFAS-free specs for cosmetics kits. Mineral-only face sunscreens at pools. No spray sunscreens on deck. Ventilation targets in work orders. Fans used during and after cleaning. Policy moves the middle. A state cap on 14-dioxane forces suppliers to strip residues nationally because one SKU is cheaper than two. A ban on intentionally added PFAS in cosmetics pushes retailers to unify specs across stores. EU allergen rules drive global disclosure because brands don't want two labels. Each notch ratchets shelves forward. Homes feel it as quieter air and calmer skin. Consumers aren't powerless. Report reactions with dates, lot codes, and body sites to brands and regulators. Ask 3 questions in every product email. What replaced the ingredient you removed? How do you control 14-dioxane in ethoxylated inputs? Do you disclose EU fragrance allergens globally? Praise brands that answer with methods and numbers. Ignore the ones that send slogans. Bring the same spec to your PTA, HOA, gym, or office manager. One email becomes a building-wide change when purchasing clicks approve. None of this chases perfection. It prioritizes boring, proven choices: removal over residue, mineral over mystery, pumps over mists, ventilation over perfume. Disclosure creates maps, procurement sets defaults, worker logs surface signals, ventilation cuts baselines, and testing polices the gaps. Stack them, and the places you live, home, school, clinic, office, bus, stop acting like test chambers and start breathing like rooms again. Small, steady choices change the air you live in. One receipt declined, one pump over a spray, one fragrance-free swap that quiets a room. If you want the levers that move entire buildings, watch our follow-up on writing specs that vendors actually follow. Subscribe for more untold fixes and share this with the person who buys for your home or school.